Welcome back, everyone, to EdUp Edge, the scoop on career schools, leadership, and life hacks. This is your host, Kathy Valetti, and we have an exciting lineup for you today. I love talking about higher education marketing. I shop so many schools, I go onto so many websites, and sometimes I get really excited, and other times I'm like, would I really drop my information in this lead form? Maybe
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
So, why not just bring on another expert to walk us through the don'ts and do's of higher education? So let's welcome the beautiful Miss Brennan Howard. She is the marketing account executive with Advanced Education. Hey, Brennan.
Hey, I'm so excited to be on. I have actually never done a podcast before, so this is a first for me, but I'm super excited. I'm really passionate about education, and so this is right up my alley.
I love it. I love it. And look, there's a first time for everything. So I feel very honored that this is your first podcast. And, really and truly, it feels like, it seems to me like it's a natural for you because I watch your videos on LinkedIn. And a lot of times I'm at home, I'm like, go, Brennan.
Yes, I know. I frequently see your stuff on my page, and obviously that's kind of how we got connected. And it's always refreshing to see someone else like doing videos too. I know you're a huge encouragement for me to utilize LinkedIn and really do the videos. So yeah,
And thank you. You know what? I think when it comes to filming, you just have to forget about everyone. I
right.
started doing filming on LinkedIn probably about 3 years ago. And back then, I must have done 50 takes before I posted one video. It's like, nope, didn't like it, didn't like it. Now it's
Yeah,
like, you know what? You just speak from the heart and it is what it is. Authenticity is what people look for. So,
that is
whatever.
true. That is true.
So, Brenda, talk to us. How do you even get into marketing in higher education? Because there's so many different industries that you could have chose, and a lot of people, especially today, they are running from higher ed. Okay, so
Yes.
how did this actually start for you?
So, my background is actually not in marketing. I went to school for K-6 education and did a little bit of time in the classroom. I originally started out tutoring during my internship, and then
Nice.
I took a position as a third grade teacher at a top 10 school district in the state of Alabama. Though that journey was very short lived, I really appreciated my time there. I think it gave me just lots of insight as far as like what parents are really involved in education,
Mhm.
even from elementary to higher ed. So something that I've seen is just the involvement of parents in education. But I started out as a classroom teacher, and for multiple reasons, I'm not going to dump my teacher trauma on here, but I decided that it was time to pursue a different opportunity. And my neighbor actually works for this company and with the travel and tourism branch. And so she kind of introduced me to some people, and I interviewed, and I love the company that I'm with. And so it just kind of went from there. I know I said I don't have a background in marketing, but during college, I worked at a med spa. And I did some of the social media for them. We would do the live videos and stuff. That's kind of how I started doing the LinkedIn videos.
Mhm.
And so I kind of fell in love with marketing from that aspect, but I kind of just combined that love and the experience I have in education. And now I'm doing marketing sales for higher ed institutions.
You know what? That's really interesting because, I speak to a lot of people who want to get into marketing, and in their mind, they're like, well, totally misinformed. I don't have a college degree in marketing. I don't have
Right.
a certification. So it's something that I love, but I'm not sure if this is the right path for me because I don't have the credentials.
Exactly. I think honestly, it's really all about networking, like the opportunities that come your way. I will say it did take several months for me to be able to switch out of something that I had my degree in. So it was
Mhm.
definitely something I had to put a lot of effort in. But it was the Lord's path for me. And I was really just, I mean, I was dedicated to doing research and applying to companies that I really enjoyed. And so it takes a lot of effort, but you can absolutely do it.
Interesting. I think a lot of it has to do with being able to put yourself in the student's shoes, in your
Right.
audience shoes, and being able to speak from that seat. What are some hobbies that you have like on your free time?
Yeah. So I live on the Gulf Coast. I live in Pensacola, Florida currently. So obviously I'm a huge beach girl. I'm a huge foodie as well. I have a list in my phone of all these restaurants that I need to try. And I mean, I just love food. And of course, I love caffeine. Every marketer does. So I love visiting like small business craft coffee shops.
Really? That's funny because
Yeah.
that's like my brother-in-law and his wife. All they do is search for these small, cutesy coffee shops.
Yeah.
Where my husband and I, we're more like the old school. I'm the Keurig girl, and he's the one
Yeah.
that's like, I'm just gonna throw on the pot. Is there anything that you would say your friends probably don't know about you that you absolutely love?
Let's see. I mean, I would say I'm pretty outgoing, but like internally myself, I feel like I am not an extrovert. I feel like I'm an introvert, but people often say the opposite. So I don't know. I guess that's something that my friends would say about me.
You know what? That's funny because I am extremely introverted.
Oh,
But
really?
when people meet me, they're like, "Yeah, get out." No, you aren't. It's like when it comes to, I've heard a pastor say one time, he's an ambivert, right?
Okay.
So what it is he's very introverted, but when he has to be, he's very extroverted. So
Okay.
if he has to make a presentation, if he has to bring forth a sermon, you would look at him and not think that he's introverted at all. But then there's that time where he needs to regroup and he has
Yeah.
to spend that quiet time where he doesn't want to talk to anyone. He's not a social butterfly.
Yes.
I'll probably say that's me. When it's time to turn it on, I have to turn it on. But really and truly, I'd rather not.
Yeah. I like to call that like your social battery. Like if I am just checked out, I've been interacting with friends and family and running around town doing all these things. I'm like, my social battery is dead. I need to recoup. I need to relax. So I understand that.
I love it. So let me ask you, what do you think is the most challenging about marketing when it comes to higher ed?
It's difficult because marketing in higher ed is not like marketing for any other thing.
Hmm.
Um, I often I work with lots of different people, whether that be deans of colleges within an institution, recruitment teams, marketing teams at institutions. And the common thing that comes up is budget. Um, Everyone has these bright ideas about what they want to do. They're very passionate about what they do, and they have all these enrollment goals that they're required to meet, not only to help their school, but to elevate their personal careers as well. And the budget is somewhat limiting. Then they don't have any say so over it. And so that's where making sure that you're investing your budget into the right things and doing the research on it before you invest into it is something that's going to stretch your budget further than you would think.
That's interesting. Have you ever seen any of those memes on either TikTok or Instagram where they're talking about the client's goals versus their actual budget? And the
Right.
goal has like someone sitting in like this golden king chair with all these diamonds and velvet. And then
Yeah.
when it says the budget, they're sitting in like, a beach chair with
Right.
like
Yeah.
diamond
No.
crown. I mean, sometimes it's not necessarily their fault, right? But do
Mhm.
you feel that a lot of that has to do with some schools not thinking that they even have a need?
Yeah, we do run into that every now and then.
Hmm.
And it's very interesting because everyone has a different point of view. I know I've talked to some schools, and I'm a personal big advocate for like the College of Nursing within the institution for them to have their own budget to recruit and market
Hmm.
because the marketing offices at these institutions, they're so overwhelmed. They have to do just all the branding and everything for the college itself that it's hard for them to be able to pay attention to the College of Nursing who needs to really increase their applicants for some of their graduate programs, just for example. And so sometimes we run into those situations where those colleges are like, we're really just depending on the school brand to kind of leverage these new programs. And sometimes that doesn't cut it. And it's unfortunate when we see those new programs or those low enrollment programs get cut when the simple fix could be a marketing campaign.
You know what? That's interesting because I was just about to bring that up. There are still so many schools who are just depending on their school brand.
Yeah,
And I think that we're in a different age where students are watching their coins very closely. And before you would see a name and it's like, oh, it says status if I attend that college. But nowadays, students are like, yeah, forget status. I want to know what I'm going to get out of this school.
absolutely. My company does lots of research, and we did a survey recently. And right now, students' current number one concern is the total cost. And so I think trade schools, vocational schools, community colleges can really leverage that. So cost is a huge concern right now. I think not only when you're going to the grocery store, for instance, I've been comparing grocery bills, and my gosh, it's insane, the amount of increase you see just over a few weeks period. And so students are really watching their dollar. So I agree with
Absolutely.
that.
What are some of the pet peeves, that you
Oh,
have
goodness.
experienced?
Yeah, I
Open up
know.
the scroll. What are some of the pet peeves that you've experienced when looking at some websites?
Yes. So one thing about schools is some of them only have one person doing their whole marketing, everything, and some of them have a team. But regardless, there is just a shortage of resources, and time constraints as well. You have, a handful of people trying to do what big companies hire, a team
Mm,
of 50 people to do. And it's just not always possible to do everything in house. So I think sometimes um, leaders in higher education who are not in the marketing world and they are not in the marketing department, they kind of struggle to understand that sometimes these marketing departments need external help. So when the marketing teams go to ask, it's a little difficult for them to get that budget. Another pet peeve that I have is sometimes we talk to people who, I don't know if it's maybe they haven't done their research recently, or they're very comfortable and complacent with the strategies they're currently using. And sometimes the radio ads, they're not working as much as they used to. TV ads, people are not, going to Dish Network anymore. They're getting YouTube TV, Hulu, and things like that. So
mhm.
switching over from commercials to doing ads through YouTube TV and things of that matter. Just that shift of little things like that. Some people just haven't been doing the research to be able to change their strategies. It's the same strategy. We just need to make sure we're using the correct platforms because the marketing world changes daily.
Absolutely. So it's like a lot of schools are behind time. And then you probably have that, we've always done it this way without seeing that it's no longer working.
Right. And that's where like you really need to analyze your enrollment data, just to make sure that what you're doing is still working. And you know what? If it's not, that's okay. You just have to be open and willing to do the research and open to changing.
Absolutely. So when it comes to the website, because I always try to put myself in the shoes of the student. I was
Mhm.
talking to a school a couple of weeks ago, and when I looked at their website, we were talking about admissions, but I said, can I just make one quick suggestion? Can you throw some type of photos up there of your students or a video or
Yes.
points? It's like every single tab that you click on was just paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. Our students do not want to read. People want
Mm,
quick information.
yes.
So how do you feel about that?
So sometimes I go to really great websites. The information is short, concise, exactly what you want to see. You can pull up a page and know exactly what the point is. Other times I go to websites and I'm like, I don't really know what they're trying to get out here. I don't know what the main point is. And, like you said, our students, they're not sitting there reading paragraphs and paragraphs, especially with the age of TikTok. Everyone's attention span is like this. Like we want short, quick, easy. And so going back and looking at some of the things that are on websites that have been there for a while, it may be time for a remodel. I agree.
Absolutely. What about lead forms? This has been such a controversial topic for years. Some schools, their lead forms, it's like, okay, what's the name of your cat? What pedigree? What do they eat? What's your social? And
Yeah.
it's like, what do you think a lead form just needs to have? Because there's still some schools who are like, no, I want my 10, field lead form.
Well, it's difficult because understanding that you need that information, but maybe we don't need all of that information at the moment.
Yeah.
If they're just interested, let's just check this out. I want to get some more information. We don't need to be asking their social security number. We don't need to ask those things. That's an immediate turnoff to some students. And especially if they're on their mobile device and they're just trying to get some quick information to see if when they get home and they're able to get on their laptop, if that's something they want to, apply to or look further into, they're going to look at all that and say, I do not have time to fill this out right now, or I don't even know my social security number. So
Yeah.
I agree. I think sometimes we ask a little more information than we need right off the bat. And a lot of times these students don't know how to fill out that information.
Yeah.
Some of it's a little complex, especially with financial aid and things of that matter. So having, them do it in steps, and walking them through each step.
That's really interesting because in admissions, a lot of times I tell teams, some students, they're only looking for information, right?
Right.
And before they even get to the advisor, they're on the website and they're kind of being forced to select a program of interest. And you may have some students who are like, well, I'm interested in healthcare as a whole, but I have no idea where I fit.
Right.
And here's the problem too, because if a student is forced to click on a program, what happens at admissions? They see that lead form come in and they immediately just focus the conversation on that program, and the student isn't really sold on if that's the best fit for them in the first place.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I never thought of it like that. I think I felt the pressure like in high school to like, you got to pick something and stick with it.
Mhm.
But there are tons of people who don't know what they want or what they want to do. They just know they want to advance their education, especially with like people who are looking to go back to school. Maybe they don't necessarily know what they want to do yet, but I think that's where like advisors and admissions can really step in and spark the conversation of, hey, go to our career services office and let's talk about it. Let's do a personality test. All these different things that can be really helpful.
Yeah. Do you feel that marketing should really be in sync with admissions? The reason why I asked that question is because growing up in this industry for almost 18 years, admissions was never even in the same room or on the same call with the marketing team. And it's kind of like the left hand never knew what the right hand was doing. So everyone is complaining about everyone, but seldom do I ever see admissions advisors like on the call or being explained how marketing works and what they're actually looking for.
Yeah, I think they absolutely should be included on the conversation. Let's say that marketing is really pushing a specific program in
Mhm.
healthcare, for instance. And admissions has someone who calls and is like, "Hey, I heard you guys have this program and whatever," or maybe they don't even know what program, but they're interested in healthcare, like you said.
Mhm.
Well, if admissions knows that marketing is really trying to increase enrollment for this particular program, they can say, hey, this is a flag to go ahead and see if this person might be interested in that. So keeping all departments looped in, I mean, that would be very beneficial. Absolutely.
I
And
also.
then,
Mhm.
sorry, one more comment.
No, 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 go
Um,
ahead.
if the student is seeing all this information on social media, I think admissions needs to know what information is being put out there so that when students call, they're not completely clueless and look like they don't know what they're doing. If the institution is pushing this huge scholarship or marketing is, but admissions doesn't really know about it, they don't know that it's being advertised. How are they going to talk to students about that?
Absolutely. I think one hand helps the other, right? So
Right.
when you are bringing so much excitement to the website and you're getting students so inspired, it makes it easier for the admissions teams too, because
Mhm.
it's kind of like when you have a referral, right? They convert the highest because the person already sold, the program to their friends. So now it's so much easier for the advisors. So it's like when a student visits a website, they get most of the information that they want. It's so exciting and intriguing to them. So now the
Mhm.
advisors have less work to do when they
Yeah,
get the students actually on the phone.
yeah, yeah. That's
Interesting.
very interesting. So hopefully we can see that change.
Yeah.
I have talked to different admissions department, and sometimes they're in the loop, but majority of the time they're not. And I know it's very hard to, everybody's schedule is completely different, but maybe even sending out like an email or a newsletter, a marketing newsletter. Hey, these are the main points we want to focus on this month. This is what we're really pushing. Maybe that could be beneficial.
So let me ask you, at Advanced Education, you guys also do email marketing?
We do not. We're more so, we do social media, we do some website things, we do remessaging display. We do lots of things like that. Our main focus is not email marketing. It's more so just that online like communication. We do SEM, SEO, all of those things.
Interesting. So what would you say when it comes to a school's website? What do you think is most critical that schools need to include on their landing pages?
So something that I've learned recently since
Mhm.
working here is that blog posts are very important. And something that's important about that, or why that's important, is because if somebody is interested in a program that you have,
Mhm.
let's say, you're offering a master's degree in educational leadership, and you have, teachers who are wanting to go back to school. They're interested in education leadership. They want to know, what the salary increase is, what are the benefits, can I do anything else with this degree? If this, school offers that program, write a blog post talking about the benefits of educational leadership, and that way they land on your website, they view you as a resource to get this information, and you just spark their interest about a program that you offer. So when they're doing their research about what programs they're interested in, you want to show up,
Mhm.
including those blog posts. That's really going to help with that.
So you recently shopped some schools.
Yes, I did.
Please tell us about that experience because I don't think that schools are aware of what's really happening on the outside and how students are actually viewing that communication from the very beginning.
Right. So I know you probably do a lot of this, and I kind of talked about this on LinkedIn with you
Mhm.
some. But so one thing we like to do is secret shop our clients, and this kind of gives us a view of what the students are seeing. It gives you a perspective, like you get to experience it. You're walking in their shoes. And like you said, like a lot of times they're not aware of what a student is experiencing. So I always encourage people to fill out the application themselves and see how complicated it is, because if
Mhm.
you can't fill it out, well, certainly your students aren't going to be able to figure it out.
Exactly.
So recently I contacted a school about two particular programs, and these are ones that they're really wanting to grow. And so I asked a simple question, or actually I called first and did not receive a response. One of them did call me back a day later and left a voicemail, so that was nice. But I do wish the communication would have been, given back that same day.
Mhm.
um, the other one that I called, I didn't receive a call back. I followed up with an email asking if they offered the program solely online, or if there, was a traditional route, and I never received a response. And so it was just really interesting, because if you're wanting to grow a program, you need to make sure you're readily available to answer the questions that students have, because otherwise they're going to look up a competitor. And if they respond first, that could be a lost opportunity. When I went car shopping this past weekend, I, could potentially go to the dealership with the best customer service. And
Mhm.
I mean, it's the same thing with schools. It's a huge purchase. And so you want someone who is going to support you the whole way through.
You brought up a really good point because I think sometimes schools are still conditioned to think that because they have the name, students are automatically going to come, flying in. But what I've seen, especially talking to students for so long, more students are willing and able to apply to a school because of how that school made them feel in that initial interaction, right? So now I always say, you know what, Speed to Lead is not really about the first school that gets to the student. It's the first school that makes the connection, because you can talk to the first 5 schools and they make you feel like absolute garbage, right? And now that sixth school, they're like, okay, I actually feel as if they care. But
Right.
remember, you and I were talking about a school that I had emailed, and the response email was, our advisors normally responds within 24 to 48 hours.
I
Off
know.
the bat, you're already telling the student, go someplace else because we don't
Right.
have time to deal with you.
Yes, exactly. It does send the message of like, hey, we really don't have time for you if we can't answer a simple question. And, sometimes that's beyond the control of the staff. I know we run into understaffing issues and things of that matter, but it's just something to definitely be conscious and aware about.
Absolutely. And the bottom line is, students should never have to be the one continuously following up with a school. They're already
Absolutely.
afraid and filled with anxiety, right? This is why there's a follow up process, because the minute they feel like they're about to take the next step, they talk themselves right back out of it again. So
Yep.
you really think a student is going to be the one on the phone every 2 seconds trying to get someone to give them information? No, they're going to take it as a sign, as, you know what, maybe this is not the time for
Yeah,
me. And they're going to
I,
say,
I agree. I agree. I definitely take things like that as a sign. It's funny you mentioned that. I attended a junior college first, but I was actually in between going to a university and a junior college. Um, so I remember one day I was literally like, I do not know where to go. I feel stuck. My heart's being pulled in all these directions. And I was just like, I need a sign. I need something. And I saw a TV ad. We have YouTube TV, and it came up, and it was for the school that I ended up choosing. And I was like, this is my sign. So it's funny that I'm now in higher ed marketing, and I was also influenced by higher ed marketing to make my first decision. So
I love that. So, Brennan, I know that you are a huge advocate for AI,
yes,
right? And that's another trending topic where some people are so freaked out about AI. A lot of it is misinformed,
right.
right? But what are some ways that schools can actually take advantage of AI without freaking out? What
Right.
happens?
No, when AI first came out, I was like, oh, absolutely not. I will not be using this. It's scary. Like, I was
Mhm.
hearing just all the news articles, and it was just freaky. It's something new and uncomfortable. You're not familiar with it. So, of course, it's scary. And I'm definitely a person of routine. So,
Mhm.
getting out of it was something that was scary. But I decided to try it, and it has truly just streamlined my research and work task in general. I mainly use it for research when I'm building campaigns. If we're doing search engine marketing, I want to make sure I'm using the best key terms. And so I will go and double check and make sure, that research is saying, yeah, you're right. This is what you should be doing as far as key terms. But it just streamlines it, because whereas before I would have to go and look at all these articles, look at what all these people are saying. I can insert a question, it will feed the research to me, and I can ask it, or is there any opposing research, and where is this coming from, and it'll tell me. So it just makes it super fast.
Hmm.
I think that institutions can really utilize AI. Number one, looking and researching what program students are most interested now. You can really leverage that and bring in more students if you're offering those programs that they're looking for. Um, and also, marketing teams, the same way that I use it, they can use it as far as looking up key terms and just research in general. So that's how I feel about AI. It's a great research tool.
I love it. I think it could also help with, curriculum development, tying into the
Yes.
research that you were talking about, right? So it's like, based on this program, what are other schools doing, and how can we make our program, curriculum more exciting?
Yeah.
How can we add a couple more courses that most schools wouldn't have?
Right. I agree. Um, I definitely think if institutions aren't utilizing AI, they are missing out, because everyone's starting to use it now, and you don't want to be left behind. If anyone is listening that's scared of it, I would say just try it. And if you don't like it, then leave it.
Yeah.
But you might find it helpful, and you might, change your mind about it, just like I did.
Yeah, I really think it's in the way that it's being used, because a lot of times when people think of AI, they automatically, link it to a replacement.
Right.
My school brings AI in. Now I'm going to have to be on the back of some line looking for another job because they're about to replace me, instead of thinking of it as AI is a partner.
Right.
I was one of those people who came on and I'm like, absolutely not. No. But I really think it's in the way, that it's used.
I agree.
Brendan, go ahead. You had something to say just now?
I just said I agree, but yes.
Brendan, any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yeah. One thing I would say is when you're thinking about marketing, or partnering with someone like externally, keep an open mind. I often run into, I talk to deans, admissions, marketing, all day long. And sometimes, people are really closed minded. And I'm like, why don't we just sit down and talk about it? And if you don't like the idea, you can shut it down. But if not, you might, number one, you might learn something. And number two, we're all in the same industry, we're all on the same team. So let's form these partnerships and just talk and be open to having discussions with people. And, sometimes I talk to people that are like, I'm satisfied with what we're doing marketing wise internally, or I'm already working with someone else. But, they're like, you know what, let's see a proposal. Let's see like what a campaign with you would look like. And they keep an open mind and find, that maybe we can complement what they're already doing, or we offer another service that they've been needing. So just keep an open mind no matter what field you're in, and be open to talking to people about different ideas.
I love it, because that's where ideas actually begin, right? With a conversation.
Right.
And I think a lot of it has to do with, keeping that open mind and, understanding that there may be a better way, or like you said, a way that can complement what you're actually already doing.
Right. Yeah. And change is scary. People don't like change, but an easy way to get into that is say, okay, well, we're going to stick with what we're doing, but let's add something a little extra and just see if this change is something that we would be willing to consider. So you can baby it. You can baby
exactly,
the thing,
right?
but yeah, just keep an open mind.
Love it. Love it. Well, Brendan, this conversation was very delightful. I really enjoyed my time with you today, learning more about higher education marketing schools. If you are listening, make sure that you take a look at what you are doing. You may be doing everything right, because there's a lot of schools who feel that way, right? But the only thing that's constant is change. Brendan, tell the audience how they can get in contact with you at Advanced Education.
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty responsive on there. It's Brennan Howard. Or you can shoot me an email at bhoward@advancededucation.com.
Love it. Well, thank you all for tuning in to EdUp Edge. Stay inspired, stay informed, and keep pushing the boundaries of education. EdUp out. I really hope that you enjoyed that episode. I have been working diligently to bring awareness to career schools. There's so much that they have to offer our students and our community. Every single role within the admissions process is critical, whether you're a part of the admissions team, financial aid, career services, academics, everyone deserves a voice. Admissions is the first point of contact for your school, so you want to ensure that you have a team who exudes confidence, passion, and a clear understanding of effective communication with our potential students. I totally understand the pain of missed class starts, low appointment and enrollment conversions, and this is why I created Next Level Admissions Training by Motivate with KAT. This platform is a step-by-step process, and it is going to train your new and tenured advisors in every single step of the enrollment process to ensure that our students are inspired, and they're ready and prepared to start class. Admissions is not easy. It can be very challenging, but it's definitely worth it. So if you're ready to take your school to the next level, head on over to lessons.motivatewithkat.com and check out Next Level Admissions.